Welcome, everyone. My name is Liv Lozier, and I'm a legal advocate with Disability Rights Rhode Island. As Rhode Island's Protection and Advocacy Agency, or P&A for short, our mission is to protect and advocate for the legal rights of people with disabilities. Today, I'm going to be discussing supported decision-making, which is a less restrictive alternative to guardianship that enables people with disabilities to make their own choices with the support of a trusted network of people. And that can include friends, family, coworkers, or professionals. In addition to supported decision-making, other alternatives to guardianship exist, and I will also be discussing those as well. I want to start by thanking you all for joining us today and for taking the time to learn about this important topic. In this presentation, we're going to explore the alternatives to guardianship and the principles of supported decision-making, what it is, how it works, and why it's so important. Our goal is to equip you with knowledge and resources to make informed choices that reflect your own values and preferences. Before we dive in, just a quick note, this presentation includes general information about the law and legal practice, but it's not legal advice. So if you're dealing with a specific situation, you should speak to an attorney. To set the stage, let me give you a quick overview of our agency and what we do. As I mentioned before, Disability Rights Rhode Island is the state's protection and advocacy system. There's a P&A in every U.S. state and territory, and they help people with disabilities protect their legal and human rights. We represent people with all kinds of physical, intellectual, and mental disabilities, and we also investigate complaints of abuse and neglect of people with disabilities. We operate 9 federally funded programs under which we provide a broad range of services ranging from information and referral to offering legal advocacy within our focus areas. Our focus areas determine the individual cases that we can consider, as well as systemic projects that we pursue. And we see community feedback on these annually, and we also revise them every 3 years. Among those focus areas are reducing guardianship and promoting supported decision-making. So today we're going to look at how those alternatives can be practical, empowering tools for individuals. So let's talk about the Rhode Island law. It actually requires that people explore alternatives to guardianship before going to court to ask for a guardian. And so we're not just talking philosophy here, it's built into the legal framework that alternatives must be tried before seeking guardianship in court. And there's no one-size-fits-all solution. People should try different options to find out what works best for them. And the alternatives that we discussed today can also be used in combination with one another. And so I'm going to start by exploring some of the alternatives to guardianship and then go more in depth at the end to discuss supported decision-making. One alternative to guardianship is something called a power of attorney, and this is a legal tool that lets the person called the principal give someone they trust the ability to make financial or healthcare decisions on their behalf. This trusted person is referred to as the agent. And the important thing to know about power of attorney is that it only kicks in when the individual can't make their own decisions. And it can also be set up to take effect right away or in the future. And there's different types of power of attorney to meet different needs, and so I'm going to break those down next. So a durable power of attorney for healthcare lets someone make medical decisions if the individual becomes unable to speak for themselves, whereas the financial power of attorney allows the agent to handle money matters like paying bills or managing assets, again, only when the person can't do it on their own. And both of these can be personalized based on what kind of support someone needs. Next up, the living will. This document speaks for someone if they're terminally ill and unable to communicate their medical preferences. Unlike a power of attorney, a living will doesn't appoint a decision maker. Instead, it gives doctors guidance about what care the person wants or doesn't want. It's about making sure that the person's wishes are respected even when they can't say them out loud. Trusts are another option, specifically when it comes to managing money. Here's how it works. Someone known as the grantor gives money to a person called a trustee. A trustee manages the money and follows instructions from the grantor about how to use it. The grantor can tell the trustee how to spend the money in the trust. For example, the money might be used for the person's housing or only for school. And a person who knows and cares for the adult with a disability can be a trustee, or an institution like a bank can also be a trustee. The goal is to make sure that the person's financial needs are met over time. One type of trust that's especially helpful is the special needs trust. It allows others, often family members, to save money for an individual with a disability without jeopardizing the person's eligibility for critical benefits. And so the trustee manages the account and the individual doesn't lose access to those critical benefits. Last in this group, before we dive into supported decision making, is representative payee or rep payee. This is a person or agency that's appointed through the Social Security Administration to help manage someone's Social Security benefits. Their job is to make sure that those funds go towards the person's basic needs like housing, food, or medical care. And repayees must keep the money in a separate account. They have to track every expense and show proof that it's all going towards supporting the individual. While these legal tools offer important ways to support individuals with disabilities, there's one approach that stands out for preserving autonomy and personal choice, and that's supported decision making. In 2019, Rhode Island passed the Supported Decision Making Act, making supported decision making agreements legally recognized. And that was a big shift because it moved supported decision making from a concept to a concrete legal tool. Supported decision making, often referred to as SDM, lets adults with disabilities keep their rights by getting help to make decisions. And the idea behind SDM is that every adult can make choices unless there's proof that they cannot. SDM may sound like a new or unconventional idea, but it's something that most of us already do. Think about the times that you've asked for help picking a doctor or advice when applying for a job or deciding where to live. That's supported decision making in action. The difference is that we're just making that informal support an intentional practice. And supported decision making protects your decision making rights. You choose what decisions you want help with and who you trust to help make those decisions. These people, who are called your supporters, aren't making decisions for you. They're helping you make your own choices. Asking someone to explain a medical care form or going over financial paperwork with you, that's an everyday version of supported decision making. Supported decision making looks different for everyone. It's shaped by your own goals, preferences, and experiences. You can start by asking yourself, what kinds of decisions do you want help with? And then think about the people that you trust and ask if they'll be your supporters. You'll complete the supported decision-making agreement together, which we'll go in more depth about that later on. And then you can use it when you're making decisions where guidance or support would help you. It's flexible, personal, and it's centered on what you want. So supporters are the people that you choose to help you make decisions, not make them for you. They could be parents or siblings, neighbors, coworkers. They could also be a close friend who's shown that they care and respect your choices. And whether it's one person or a team, what matters most is that you trust these people to help you. When SDM is working well, supporters help remove barriers to making decisions. So here's what that can look like. It could be finding and organizing information related to a decision. It could be helping with paperwork and authorizations. It can be explaining your choices clearly so that you can decide, or making sure that your decision is communicated to the right people. In short, your supporters are your team backing you up while you stay in the driver's seat of making the decisions. There are limits to who a supporter can be. Your supporter cannot be your employer or your employee unless they're immediate family. Someone who provides you with direct services, again, unless they're your immediate family. And anyone legally prohibited from contacting you, like someone with a protective order. These rules help protect your rights and also ensure that your supporters are there purely to assist and not to influence or control you. The supported decision-making agreement has a few items that you must include in it, and these include what kind of decisions the supporter can help you make, as well as what kind of decisions the supporter cannot help with. It also has to include the name of at least one supporter, or if you have multiple, you can list multiple supporters, and that the supporter wants to help and understands what being a supporter means, as well as the supporter's relationship to the individual. The individual can end the SDM agreement at any time. They have to do it in writing, and they must tell their supporter that they ended the SDM agreement. This is called revoking the agreement. The SDM agreement is signed by both you and your supporter, and this document, it doesn't hand over decision-making power, which is the important part of it. It just gives your supporters a formal role in assisting your process. There's a template available on DRI's website, so if you scan that QR code, it will take you directly to it, or you can find it by searching www.drri.org. I'd like to wrap up the presentation by talking about something very essential about supported decision making. Your supporter cannot make decisions for you, but they can help you understand your choices, break down information so it's easier to process, communicate your decisions clearly to others. Ultimately, SDM is about holding on to your rights while bringing others alongside you in a way that's affirming, respectful, and empowering. Thank you for joining me today and taking the time to explore supported decision-making and the alternatives to guardianship. At Disability Rights Rhode Island, we're committed to helping individuals with disabilities maintain their rights, independence, and personal choice. Your engagement today helps us build a more inclusive community where everyone has the opportunity to make their own choices supported by those who they trust. While we couldn't take live questions today, we encourage you to reach out with any follow-up questions or thoughts. Our contact information is on the screen, and we're always here to continue this important conversation. Thank you.